first of all, your overall assessment, any clarification or correction on anything I just said before we talk about who this board even is?
No, I mean, I think you got it basically right. We have this, we can get into exactly what the board is, but, Facebook created its own court with its own judges, hand-selected judges to apply its own law. And we're supposed to treat that as though it's like a legitimate court decision, as opposed to, just like an authority patting itself on the back and saying it did a good job. We only really tolerate that sort of thing with sovereigns, right? The federal government has to figure out a way to adjudicate when it itself has wronged someone, because there's nobody who can control the federal government above it. But we don't tolerate that with companies. Like, that's nonsense. If you want judicial legitimacy, then submit yourself to our federal court system.
Yeah, that's so weird. That's so weird. That's like if I set up my own little advisory council here to tell me what a great segment that was, and pretend it had the legal authority of a Supreme Court decision.
Right.
Like, what a weird
thing. Because it's weird. Like, there are, companies all the time set up advisory boards who administer reports, right? That's fairly common. And if they administer those reports, they give those reports and they're like, we think the company should do X for reasons Y, Z. But this doesn't read like an advisory report. It reads like a court decision, but it's not a court. It's a board. And so this is the way I look at it is, again, it's just play acting. They're trying to get the sheen of legitimacy, like there's judicial supervision or some sort of authority or precedent. They're playing following the forms of judicial decision making, but it's like cargo cult stuff. It's not actually they're not submitting themselves to a sovereign authority. They're just having the board saying Facebook must do this. Well. Or what? What enforcement authority does this oversight board have outside of what Facebook decides it will do anyway? It's just literally like a committee.
Yeah. So who is it? And do they only have authority over Facebook and Instagram, which is the same company, or is it like all social media companies that buy into this, or is it just a Facebook thing? And who are these people?
It's just a Facebook thing. Facebook, I think maybe about a year ago decided they needed something like this. Facebook selected the members of the board, appointed them themselves. They did set up an independent trust. So it's not like their continued funding is dependent on them doing things Facebook likes. They do have independent funding, but that's the extent to which they're meaningfully independent, right? They're not applying American law. They're applying Facebook's rules and policies, right? Facebook sets its own rules and policies. And then they're looking at individual censorship decisions and analyzing in their own way whether they think they comply with Facebook's rules and policies, and they tell Facebook to change the decision if they don't agree that it abides by Facebook's rules and policies. So I would say better than absolutely nothing, perhaps, but not even close to the level of supervision necessary to actually make them adhere to American First Amendment norms, right, and our culture of free speech, which this is flying in the face of. I mean, this isn't applying First Amendment American law or even American norms. This is applying UN, HCR, human rights, free expression norms, without any meaningful citations to precedent. There's no case law. There's no attempt to say this is what things have been done in the past. They're just we're a bunch of smart lawyers who say that this was justified.
Wow, that was deep and insightful. I want more of that. Like, subscribe, get more.